All right, we're live. It's Nick and Leon for the post-fight podcast. It's UFC 268 recap. Leon, it didn't disappoint, did it? Absolutely stacked show, dramatic, delivered on all expectations from top to bottom, I would say.
Oh, yeah, what a card. I mean, like you say, there's always a little bit of doubt in your mind of a card this hyped if it can be a little bit disappointing. But usually in MMA, it's not often we're left disappointed. I don't feel that way anyway. Yeah, from top to bottom, crazy card. And then obviously the main event, the main card was just something else.
Yes, I'm trying to think, where does that rank in the pantheon of these all-time great pay-per-views? It's getting quite crowded now because they put on a few every year, it seems, but that's up there, I think, with the very best top to bottom UFC shows when it comes to the numbered shows.
I agree. Yeah, like I say, it's getting more difficult because there's so many crazy cards now. It's like before you could probably easily have a top 3, top 5, but now it's just so many of them. It's like, and they all kind of roll into one really because there's so many of them.
Yeah, I think Chris is going to join us eventually. He's just eating dinner or lunch, whatever. Everything's kind of running a little late. The press conference went longer than I thought it would because I didn't think Weili would be there. I didn't think Colby would be there. Neither did Drake. Drake ended our stream, not realizing Colby was coming in. So hopefully we got a recording of what Colby said. But James, good to see you there. Yeah, I think we're going to start talking about Usman first. So you got a little time before we get into that. Yes, why don't we just start at the very top, or do you have any other general observations, Leon? How's your Sunday been?
Well, good, like I was saying to you. I mean, the first fight started almost 10 hours ago.
Yeah,
it's a
crazy.
long card, and then the press conference, as well didn't have Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler, which they're probably scheduled to, but then I guess it's probably no real surprise that they were carted off to hospital and not part of the press conference. So we could have been in the press conference for another hour.
Yeah, it's good. I think when they do bring some of the losers from those big fights from the main card
100%, in. Yeah.
You'd sometimes, as long as they're healthy and not been knocked out or anything, of course.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't stop Joe Rogan shoving a mic in their face sometimes. But
no, but yeah, on a card like this, when you've lost a fight like that, you want to hear from the loser as much as the winner. In fact, I don't even like to use the word loser because you can't really call Colby Covington a loser tonight. You can't really call Zhang Weili a loser. Yeah, they didn't win, but I hate using that word loser anyway, really. I mean, loser is a negative kind of a word. And although they didn't win, there's lots of positives they can take from their fights.
Yeah, we were all winners tonight, I think. Yes. You bring up a lot of good points. We'll get to Zhang Weili. Why don't we just kick off, though? Oh, here's Chris in the comments. He says that main card was awesome. Best card of the year. I agree. Synchro saying, good evening, guys. Can't wait to talk Weili. She looked incredible 3 rounds. Yeah, we'll get to Weili. Let's just start with that main event for chronological sake. Kamaru Usman retains his welterweight title against Colby Covington with a unanimous decision, which I was a little surprised it was unanimous. Am I wrong? I thought it was closer than it seemed, and you could have made the case for a draw, I think, for Colby. I didn't think he was going to win because I had that second round of 10-8 for Usman, but I thought Colby had maybe won the final 3 rounds, and I thought
Colby won the final 3 rounds, yeah. And I thought second round was questionable, 10-8, 10-9. I mean, obviously there was 2 knockdowns, but it wasn't a completely one-sided round. That's why, again, I'm not a big fan of the 10-must scoring system because 10-9 can be razor close or it can be a comfortable 10-9. And then 10-8, again, we were seeing more 10-8s, rightly so, I think. Now we're starting to see less of them again. So I personally had Usman winning the first 2, definitely won the first 2, and then I had Colby winning the final 3 rounds.
I did as well. They were close rounds, though. I'm thinking 2 of the scorecards went 48-47 for Usman, and the other was a bit wider, 49-46.
I don't know how anyone could vote or judge it 49-46.
Yeah, I need to look at the actual scorecard. Maybe I find it on my email and we can break it down. But I'm not saying it's a robbery or anything like that. I had no problem with Usman winning. But no one's pushed him that far. Again, it was Colby.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I said before the fight. This is Usman's toughest opponent. This is why I think this was the fight to make. And this is why I was a little bit annoyed with Usman trying to delay this fight to avoid it for as long as possible, because this was the fight for me. I think a lot of fans wanted to see, because these are the best two welterweights in the division at the moment. There could be like the Hamzats in the world next year that are going to be challenging these two, but at the moment, these are definitely the best two welterweights in the division.
We'll get to what's next for them in a bit. I found the scorecard here, so I shall share it with you all.
Interesting. The two 48-47s didn't judge it exactly the same. One of them judged Covington won the fifth. One of them didn't.
I haven't actually seen these breakdowns yet, so I'm fresh to this. Yeah. I need to take it in a little bit, but okay, 48-47 on two of the cards, and one for Colby, one for Usman. 49-46 for Usman on Derek Cleary. So none of them gave that second round a 10-8, it seems.
No, but I mean they all agreed in the first two rounds, and after that, then there's a little bit of disagreement. I mean, I agree with Sal that Covington won the third and fourth. I'm not sure how Derek Cleary didn't give Covington the third round, and then the fifth round was very, very close. To be honest, it could have gone either way. I gave it a little bit of an edge to Covington, but then that might be just a little bit biased because I wanted Colby to win this fight. So you've got to check yourself whether you're being a little bit biased. But yeah, very close. Certainly not a robbery. It could have gone either way. It annoys me when there's a very close fight. People say it's a robbery. It can be a wrong decision, but if it's too close, it's never a robbery.
I'm not upset by it. Great performance, says Alvin, from both Usman and Mr. Covington. Big respect from me and their ability to take damage. What a display of heart and talent by two incredible fighters. Agreed. Hard to disagree with that. Covington comes out of that looking great as well, I think. Probably picked up a lot of fans. Good to see they had that moment of respect. He dropped the gimmick a little bit at the end. Usman wouldn't talk about what they said in the press conference, but I haven't seen what Colby said, so I don't know. Colby shared
any respect he had for Usman disappeared in his press conference. He again called him a cheat and said he doesn't respect him. I don't know if that was playing heel, but he seemed pretty genuine, saying that he hasn't taken any shortcuts, he hasn't cheated. He said you can see in Usman's stomach there's all needle marks. So yeah, any respect he had immediately after the fight, he certainly took back in his press conference.
You gotta say he's dedicated. He's committed to the gimmick. So good for Colby. He'll be back, I'm sure. He looked like Usman admitted. Colby had improved a lot. I think Usman improved a lot as well from their first fight, and just a little bit more. Great stuff from Trevor Whitman pulling off the hat trick as well. We can mention that a bit later. Chris says I gave 2, 3, and 5 to Usman. Colby denied everything. Okay, yep. Ramsey asking when's Q&A
round
time.
3 to Usman. For me, I mean, the way he came back as well, particularly the way Covington ended the second round, and then to come back strong in the third round, I thought was very impressive.
Yeah. If you want to ask questions, Ramsey's, go ahead. Try and keep them, I guess, relevant to each fight we're talking about. That might help. Otherwise, we'll get to them at the end, or if we've got time in between. There's no rigid thing here. I see you've already asked one about Zhang, so we will get to that in a minute. We're going to talk about Zhang and Rose next. Yes, but Usman wasn't drawn, was he, Leon, on his next competitor? He wants to take some time off. He's had 3 title defenses this year. Very busy man. Still wants the Canelo fight, but Dana didn't seem receptive to that. Canelo won.
That's a tough sell for everyone, I think. I mean, there's an intrigue with McGregor and Mayweather. There isn't that with Usman.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so let me just figure this out.
I think with Usman, I think if Leon Edwards beats Masvidal, I think Dana White sort of leaned towards this as well in the press conference. He's next. Like Dana said, he's had a lot of bad luck. He could have challenged Usman last year on Fight Island, but obviously he got stuck, and then they called in Burns, didn't they, as a replacement. They gave it to Burns, and obviously Burns then pulled out COVID, and then Masvidal stepped in. So he's had a lot of bad luck and other bad luck as well. But then with an extra twist, Colby in the press conference told Masvidal to quit the Masvidal fight, quit the Leon Edwards fight, and fight him in the beginning of next year instead.
Just quit the fight, which you're 3 weeks out from,
obviously. But that is a fight. Masvidal, win or lose, is against Leon Edwards. Masvidal versus Covington has to be made now next year. That's the fight we've been dying to see for years.
Yeah, I'm sure that's still in Masvidal's mind and Covington's mind.
I don't think Masvidal is going to be anywhere near as keen as Covington, because I think just stylistically match up, and you've got to say and Covington's performances as well, it's not a good matchup for Masvidal.
No, it's not. Let us know, anyone else, if you have any questions on the Usman fight. We can get back into it later, but it seems a lot of people in the chat room want to talk about Zhang Weili, so let's go in. And we are the South China Morning Post, so why not? But it was a valiant effort from Zhang. Pushed it all the way this time, went 5 rounds, 25 minutes, split decision. Rose took 2 of the scorecards, and it was that 5th round for me, Leon, which sealed the deal for Rose.
Yeah, very close fight, very competitive. I enjoyed it, and yeah, I think Zhang Weili, I think she put on such a championship, such a class act all week. She was great in the lead up. She was smiles afterwards, congratulated Rose. There's no kind of bitterness like there was last time. I think she accepted she performed her best, and it was a very close competitive fight. I think we said before, I don't know how anyone could not like her. I mean, I don't know if you saw that photo or in the video. When Rose was weighing in, or the ceremonial weigh-in, Zhang Weili's just looking at her with a big smile on their face. I can't remember ever seeing anyone just smiling at their opponent like that before during the ceremonial weigh-in. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of hers, and it'd be interesting to see what she does next.
Yeah, it's tough now, because where do you go? You've lost twice. You're in that purgatory where a few people have found themselves, like Colby. Yeah, you've got to, if Rose is going to stay the champion, Zhang's probably going to have to beat a couple of people first, and maybe do it in style. And you got Carla there, you've got Marina there. Will Carla take on Weili, or will she demand a title shot straight away? Very murky picture.
I think Carla would almost certainly get the next title shot.
But Dana seemed to say you're not going to get anything waiting around.
Yeah, but I think I imagine now though, that particularly that Rose won, and the fact that I think most people thought that Carla should have been fighting for the title tonight or against Rose. I think it's difficult to deny, really. And who else is there, really? I mean, you've obviously got Marina Rodriguez and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. In an ideal world, they'd fight each other for the next number one contender. But obviously, Joanna's not keen on that idea, which is a shame, because that's a huge fight, and it's a fight where she's almost guaranteed a title fight, which is what she wants if she wins. But back to Zhang Weili, I think if she gets two big wins against top 5 opponents, you can easily sell the trilogy. I know the trilogy can be a bit funny sometimes, but especially if it's 2-0, not 1-1. But the second fight was very competitive. If she wins 2 big fights, it'd be difficult to deny her.
Not as far away as it may seem. I got it wrong. Drake got it wrong. JHK got it wrong. Chris got it right. He went for Rose Namajunas. I got it right.
I gave Rose a slight edge in our preview show.
Well, I was saying I thought a split decision, but I thought it would be split for Zhang, so I was close. Yeah. I'm proud of my effort today. I got off to a hot start with I think 6 out of 6 on Fanatics, and then it all fell apart with Phil Hawes. Damn it, that was a surprise.
Yeah, I think that surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, we'll get down to that one. But a lot of comments here. I'll try and get through a few of these. Jimmy saying, I know a lot of people are saying Zhang looked terrible, but I thought she looked like a better version of herself.
Has anyone criticized the performance? I haven't seen any criticism, but then I haven't been online too much today.
I haven't. I mean, most people I've seen have been praising her and she definitely looked way better. Her takedowns were a lot better. Her head movement was a lot better from the first fight. You could see the effects of training with Cejudo and the crew at Fight Ready paying off. And she said she's going to return there once she's nailed a fight offer. She's going to go back to China now, but looks like that's a permanent thing for her. She's going to do all of her camps out of Fight Ready for the foreseeable future, and why not?
Yeah, like we said before, we felt it was a good place for her to train in America. Good team, Henry Cejudo, Captain America. They're good. I think they're good personalities, and they have the good knowledge base as well for her to surround herself with. I was a little bit surprised that John previously was a bit skeptical of what Henry and co could do to her to help her since after the last fight, but I thought, yeah, like you said, the improvements were obvious, and I think you've got to give a lot of credit to the guys in Arizona.
Ramsey's here pointing out one thing she didn't do, which was utilize any BJJ while on her back. It was baffling to me, Ramsey says. I think that was the only thing. Once Rose got Zhang once she got on top of Zhang, she stayed there for the whole round in the third and fourth, I think it was, or was it the fourth and fifth? So Zhang was staying busy on the bottom, but she wasn't able to. Yeah, there was no submission attempts.
There's no sort of submission attempts or attempts to get up. Really, it was just a case of just trying to stay busy. But then I think obviously it's easier said than done. I think Rose is the superior jiu-jitsu practitioner of the two, anyway. So it's not as if she's a black belt and she was fighting a white belt, had a white belt on top of her.
Yeah, Ghost.
She could have been a bit more proactive, possibly. I think trying to get up, particularly in that fifth round, which she needed to win, really, because I think a lot of people thought it could have been 2-2 going into that final round, and you can't spend 4 minutes on your back unless you're causing a lot of damage and a lot of mayhem from your back and get the result.
Yeah. Ghost found him pointing out there were some armbar attempts, but Rose shut them down. And Ramses agrees. Zhang just laid down her back. I was expecting her to throw up armbars, triangles, like Silva did against Sonnen. Maybe that's what Zhang needs to work on next. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe there's too much emphasis on the wrestling and not the jiu-jitsu in this camp. Yeah, the wrestling I think was obviously a big plus for her. But then like I said before, it's easy said and done. When you're on your back, there's no easy options really. It's just kind of almost pick your poison, which is the best of the difficult situation to go for, or because Rose didn't really give her any little opportunities to go for a submission or to get up onto the feet. So Rose did well on top. So you've got to give her credit as well.
Yep. Ramses thinks if she improves on that aspect, she can regain her title. James saying, do you think Dana's going to give Weili a hard time with her upcoming fights by giving her tough stylistic challenges? And Aishin says Weili versus Joanna again, please. I don't know. I think he's not going to give her a layup for the sake of it, but
of course not. No. She's still like he said in the press comments, she's the second best strawweight in the division behind Rose. So he'd probably favour her to win over anyone else in the division. So I don't know if there are stylistically difficult matches for her.
Alvin saying again, massive respect for Miss Weili and Miss Namajunas. Was rooting for Weili and brilliant adjustments made for her. Her improvements are great. That sums it up completely. Synchro Wing had it 3-2 for Weili. 1, 2, and 3 for Weili. 4-5 Rose. I definitely thought it was 2-2 going into the fifth.
I thought it was 2-2, yeah.
I can't remember. I'll try and get the scorecard here in a minute and we can break that down.
I mean, in my ideal situation, we'd have Carla challenging Rose next, Joanna versus Marina, and then that leaves maybe Zhang versus Mackenzie Dern, or Battle of China.
Yeah, the China Derby.
Yeah, all right. So that would pan out pretty well for me, but I don't think that's going to happen because I think Joanna doesn't want to fight anyone other than Rose or Zhang Weili. Yeah. So maybe Zhang Weili, Joanna.
But you don't often, when you play these games with the UFC, they usually win unless they're desperate as in when Masvidal had to step in to face Usman on a week's notice, they gave him the money he was asking for. UFC hold all the cards. They pulled her out of the rankings. They showed we're not going to bow to you.
I kind of agree, but I think because now Rose needs a new opponent, she hasn't hung around too long. She hasn't waited for a year and a half going, I'm not fighting any. It hasn't been that long a time. So I think it's more annoying to Dana and the UFC if someone's prepared to sit on the side for a year plus. Well, they're saying that. I can't remember when Carla last fought, but it wasn't that long ago, was it?
It was in May, I think, against Yan.
Yeah, exactly. So 6 months ago, 5 months ago.
It could turn into.
So not that
you don't
long
want to be
ago.
out.
I mean, sitting out for 6 months isn't that bad now. Possibly, depending on Rose and how long she needs to recover, they could potentially look now to already looking at Rose's next opponent.
All right, here are the scorecards. All three gave Zhang the first round, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
Two of them gave Rose the second round. I agree with that. And then this is, we're getting all over the place now. Zhang the third round. I think I agree with that
they all
too.
agreed on the first, fourth, and fifth round, but the second and third were a bit. And they were close.
Yeah, I think Rose definitely won fourth and fifth. No dispute. I think I agree with them. 48, 47 for Rose Namajunas. That would be how I would have called it. And so Doug Crosby read my mind or whatever.
Yeah, that's how I had it. I had it as well. Not only 2-2. I thought Zhang Weili was 2 rounds to 1 up after the third round.
Yeah. So look, it was tight. It's very tight. Let's see what else. James Kendrick, some comments here. How scary is Weili going to look after 2 years of training at Fight Ready? Yeah, precisely. She may be 32 years old, but I would say that's the best we've seen her. Probably most well-rounded.
Yeah, if you take in consideration the quality of her opponent, because she won the belt in less than a minute. Obviously, to win the belt, you've got to beat the champion. To do that in less than a minute is phenomenal. And she looked amazing at times. Before that, she kind of charged her way to the title. Yeah. But I mean, if she can put everything all together, the best that she's learned, the best parts of how we've seen her in the past, she's scary woman.
Speaking of scary, Chris Edwards-Bailey here.
Yeah,
what's up?
Go. Yeah, I'm absolutely fantastic. And you know what? You didn't really mention, but I'd like to see if she could get back down to strawweight. I'd quite like to see Jessica Andrade fight Rose again. I think they were both very, very close fights. And you do look at that third fight on Fight Island, and we all kind of know if that was going to the fifth round, Jessica Andrade would have won that fight easily.
That's a good
I agree with you, but I think the first round, for me, was Rose's best ever performance the first time they fought.
Against Jessica, But you look at that third. No. I'm talking about the second fight, though. If you look at that third round,
very competitive. Yeah, I agree.
That would have gone to a fourth and a fifth. There's no way Rose would have won because you look at them both after the fight. Jessica Andrade didn't even have a bruise on her. Rose was destroyed, man. Didn't she have a broken orbital and everything?
A badly broken nose, I think.
Yeah,
I agree. I found that interesting because for me, their first fight was Rose's best ever performance. She looked phenomenal until she didn't let go of the guillotine and got slammed head. Up until then, she looked so good. And I was interested that after the fight, she said she wasn't even impressed with her performance. So I thought it was pretty crazy.
Well, Andrade seems to have a little bit of a hoodoo on Rose a little bit. Seems to have a very good style that matches up very well against her. And I think just because she carries so much power, she does a lot more damage every time she hits.
Jimmy here saying, if Andrade beats Rose for the belt, does Weili get a rematch after one fight? Yeah, I mean, look, there's so many interesting possibilities now.
Yeah.
I know Rose just retained, but there's plenty of matchups for everyone at the top of the division. And I know I wouldn't say with confidence like Rose would definitely beat Andrade again, like you guys are saying. And who knows? There are women there, I think, who can beat some of the top ones and not the others. And it's a nice little mix up there. So Here we go. Anything else to add, Chris? You missed Usman chat. What did you make?
Yeah. I gave the first, the second,
Third and fifth.
the third to Usman for sure, but I can't remember exactly. I would have liked to have seen the second round given as a 10-8. I think it deserved to be a 10-8, but for all of a sudden, we've seen 10-8s kind of disappear, which is a touch odd. I thought it was a fantastic fight, but you know what? It shows you how good this main card and the prelims were. I thought this was the worst fight on the main card, and I thought it was the worst fight on the main card, and the prelims was actually the main event.
Sorry,
I think every other fight was more entertaining and had a little bit more going on.
Then which
than the
fight?
Usman fight.
And
Than the Usman Covington fight, yeah. I enjoyed the Edgar fight more. I enjoyed the Billy Q-Shane Burgess fight more. I enjoyed Gaethje Chandler more. I enjoyed Rose Zhang Weili more. I actually thought the other 4 fights on the main card were better. And that's not saying the main event was bad. I'm just giving that main event 7.5 out of 10. And I'm giving everything else an 8 or a 9.
For me, the main event, it looked like at the end of round 2 that Usman was going to run away with it. And then suddenly we had a fight on our hands. Suddenly Colby came back in the 3rd round, definitely won the 4th round. And the 5th round was very, very competitive and very close as well. So it didn't start off the best because it was a little bit one-sided the first 2 rounds.
It had two great rounds, 1 good round, and 2 very, very average rounds. When if you compare that to the first fight they had, every round was pretty great.
Okay. Why don't we move on? We can always revisit some of this stuff later if anyone has questions, but let's just try and get through the card. A lot to get through. Do our best to cover as much as we can. There you go. Frankie Edgar and Marlon Vera. It was a 3rd round, about a minute to go, and Marlon Vera caught Frankie with that Anderson Silva kick right up on the chin. It was, I think, a good stoppage, guys.
Yeah, I thought it was a
good. Frankie's
fantastic stoppage. I thought it was at the exact right time. To tell you the truth, I thought particularly the first round, the fight was far closer than I thought it was going to be. You look at Frankie and the way he was fighting, and I get kind of the feeling that mentally he's one of the best fighters in the world, but sometimes the body can't do what the mind wants it to do. As you know, all of us men in our 30s and maybe 40s, we're probably all at that stage anyway. And Frankie Edgar's just finally got to this stage. And it was a pretty close fight, but he just can't really do it at this level anymore.
It's weird, though, because I thought he looked really good against, was it Pedro Munoz? And he came down to bantamweight and thought he looked, ready for to be in that top 5 mix. The Sanhagen one was a little bit of a shock to me. It was competitive here. I thought Frankie might actually win. I can't remember who I picked. I was a little bit on the fence. I went for Frankie.
It was competitive. I think it was 1-1 going into the 3rd. And for me, it was on one hand, it looked like Frankie was kind of getting outclassed the whole fight. But on the other hand, it was very close, and he seemed to be making it a fight that it looked like he should have been losing easily. Very competitive.
Agreed. Yeah. Here's a comment I agree with from Ramses. Honestly, the entire fight, I was thinking it's only a matter of time before Frankie gets caught. That's always there in the back. Every time I saw him get hit, I was worried. Yeah, kind of agree. Dana said, I think, Frankie needs to go away, spend time with his family, decide what he wants to do, and then we'll talk to him. Didn't say I think he should retire, but should Frankie retire now? Is there anything left to achieve?
I'm not going to say I don't think he should definitely 100% retire, but I think he should start really having a retirement date on the horizon. I think if he came out and said, I want 2 more fights and I'm calling it a day, or 3 more fights, I think the UFC would find him the right matchups and the right fights. But I think really along that, and I mean, look, he's been competitive in every weight division he's been in, and you look at his recent losses against Zombie, against Holloway, against Corey Sandhagen. He was always competitive, even though he's been on the decline for the last 10 years, in all honesty. But he's always been competitive and only really lost to top 5 guys, title challengers. And this is why I think this Chito Vera loss is a little bit of a signifier of things to come, because this is the first guy he's lost to, I think, who hasn't been ranked top 5. I think since they've had the rankings, and to lose to a guy who's ranked 13, and Chito is someone on the up, but then you look at what Aldo did to him, and it just kind of is a little bit one of those moments where you think he's just dropped a level. He wasn't a championship level. He dropped to a top 5. I'm in a title contention gatekeeper. And I think if he just keeps fighting, he's just going to end up becoming a lower and lower level. He's got back-to-back losses now, 4 wins in his last 6. And you know what? When you see someone's record turning that way, you look at what happened to Tyrone Woodley, you look at what's happened to Donald Cerrone, and you know what? Even look what happened to BJ Penn. Chuck Liddell, to go back even further, and you could just end up with, Frankie going out there and getting 2 game guys and having close fights, but just going out there and having 2 devastating losses. And it's not what you really want at the end of a Hall of Fame career, and that's what he's got.
It'll be interesting to see how he looks back on this performance, because I think if he had lost convincingly, or in his mind convincingly, if he agreed with the decision, would he have wanted to carry on? Because before the fight, he was saying he still had big plans. And now, even though he doesn't agree with the stoppage, if he looks back and he thinks that I didn't perform as well as I wanted to, and he thinks to himself honestly, do I have it in me for another title run? Will he want to continue? Because he's so competitive and he's had such an unbelievable career. Is he going to settle for favourable fights from the UFC just to be able to continue fighting another 2 or 3 fights?
All good points from the 2 gentlemen here.
The one thing I'll just add to it is, and I was a bit upset when we had Benavidez retire, because it's one of those guys I'd quite like to see. But the one thing I would say to Frankie Edgar is, if he does want to retire, he thinks about calling it a day. He's still got Uriah Faber floating about, and I think he's still got Dominic Cruz fighting about. And these are 2 game. You know what? I didn't like the Nick Diaz-Robbie Lawler fight the way it ended up going, because we had a guy who's well past it against a guy who's slightly past it, and it didn't look good at all. But to have him fight Dominic Cruz, or to have him fight Uriah Faber, that's more his level, I think. Now it'd be nice. It'd be a legend versus legend fight. And I'll tell you what, you put that onto a fight night, it's probably going co-main on most fight nights, and I think it'd be really good, especially him versus Dominic Cruz, because I think Dominic Cruz is ranked 10th. So they're all guys, they've been champions, and I think it's a little bit more, these are 2 guys who are there or thereabouts, having a little bit of a swan song, and the one who loses can retire, and the one who wins can maybe have that last push.
I think that's a brilliant point, actually, because I think like my point was kind of going towards, I don't think he's going to want to be a gatekeeper. I don't think he's going to be wanting to give the UFC to give him the Nick Young guns like we've seen with, can't remember off the top of my head now, but we've seen it happen before, where the UFC use big names that are on the end of their career to help the new young guys elevate themselves in their career. But yeah, if he wants to continue, Uriah Faber and Dominic Cruz are perfect for him. Yeah, because they're a bit more in his zone, and there'd be a lot at stake. 2 legend versus legend.
Yeah, that's it. The only other one would be something like a Song Yadong, if he wants the experience of next year coming and fighting in Asia, because maybe he wants that experience because he's been such a big name. He's always mostly been fighting on the coasts on really big cards.
He fought in Korea, didn't he?
Yeah. That was just before lockdown, right? Yeah, 2019 December.
In 2019.
So you've got a lot of people, and they have a lot of this stuff on their checklist where you get a lot of fighters like Robbie Lawler. I think he came out recently and was like, I haven't really fought in Europe. I'd love to have a fight in Europe. I'd love to have a fight in Asia, because something they just want to add as a little feather to their bow. But yeah, and then on the other hand, I think Chito Vera's got a long way to go, but he's just game. He's fun to watch. He's so entertaining, and I think the on and upwards for him, for Chito.
Crazy as well that he looked much bigger than Edgar, and yet Edgar's a former lightweight.
Yeah. Well, you look at Edgar and Gaethje. I think there was a picture going around next to each other, and Gaethje dwarfs Edgar. Sorry, I'm eating my breakfast at 4 p.m. I don't mean to be rude. I'm turning the mic off at least, so you don't have to hear it.
That's it. Do you think Chito Vera maybe? Do you think next year we see him and O'Malley go at it again? I keep feeling that it's just going to happen again, those 2.
Yeah, I think next year's the time to do it. I think O'Malley's fighting, didn't he, in December? Yeah. I think that fight was good.
Aishin, we haven't talked about Justin and Michael yet. We're actually going chronologically. We probably should have talked about them before Chito and Frankie, but
we should maybe finish with that fight because that was the fight of all fights.
well, yeah, we're definitely going to get to it. We could do it now if you want, and then go to Billy Q and Shane Burgess. What do you want to talk about next?
Yeah, let's go to the fight of the night, right?
Yeah, this is we need to talk about this.
I didn't watch the press conference. This was fight of the night, right?
Yeah,
but he said he'd give some money to
4 performance bonuses.
Shane and Billy Q as well, I think.
Shane and Billy Q, and then who else did he give performance
and he gave
bonuses
4 official performance bonuses, and then I think he said he gives extra little bonuses every card.
Did he give Chris Barnett a bonus?
Chris Barnett, Bobby Green.
Yes.
Let me check.
Yeah, always got to respect a man who trains himself. Always got to.
And you respect a man who's going bold and does a little ponytail over the
to cover it up. Yeah.
Fight of the century. I find it hard to disagree. It was one of the best fights. We say that a lot, right? One of the best fights ever seen. But I think given the hype that it had, it exceeded the hype. And you don't often get that, do you? Like, they had sky high expectations, opening the card. Sometimes you get that hype and then it just ends in first round, or it goes for 3 rounds and it's a little bit boring. But this was 3 rounds and it was every second was thrilling. And I don't know how many fights you can say that about with the context of high expectations. But Justin Gaethje gets a unanimous decision, 29-28 in all 3 cards, I think it was. I agreed with that completely.
No, it wasn't. It was 29-28, 29-27, and 30-27. One judge gave out all 3 to Gaethje, and one judge gave a 10-8 as well. That 30-27, I don't understand how anyone didn't give the first round to Chandler. I thought that was clear and obvious. The 30-27 I have a big problem with. The other 2 scores, I don't really mind it so much.
There were 2 29-28s for Justin.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was the case. Yeah.
But
and there was one
30-27.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doug Crosby.
I was looking at Drake's Twitter, but we all know Drake. He can't get anything right.
There were no 10-8s. It was all. I'll put it on screen here.
Yeah, it was 2 29-28s and 1 30-27. That's what I thought. I think who got it wrong was I think Mark Raimondi put it wrong on his Twitter, and then but then he deleted it.
I thought this was a great fight. I think it was fantastic, and this is one of those fights that I think One Championship and Bellator must love, because it shows that some fights actually work better as a 3-rounder than a 5-rounder. I think if this one had been a 5-rounder, I don't think they would have thrown the way they did. I don't think the 3rd round would have gone the way it did. But yeah, Jesus Christ, this was a fantastic war for the ages. I mean, I've been doing it on my phone. I've been screenshotting pictures. I've been memeing up Michael Chandler banging on his chin, banging on his chest. I thought it was just a fantastic performance by both fighters. And to tell you the truth, on the Fanatics, the greatest pickups out there, I thought anyone on that app should be going for KO, TKO for whichever fighter you're going for, because I just did not see this going the distance.
I had a feeling it may go the distance just because it's so unexpected, and you'd never bet on it going the distance. I had a feeling that it might just be able to go toe to toe and it was. They just their chins held up. For me, what kind of summed up was, at one point I looked at the clock and only 3 minutes had gone, and we'd literally had about 25 minutes worth of action and drama in that first 3 minutes. It was, and then that pace just continued. It was just crazy.
100%. And you know what? You do look at it, and Chandler came very, very close. And you look at, I think it was about the last 1 minute 40 seconds of the fight, 1 minute 50. He became, he was messing around a little bit. He was doing all the hitting at the chin, and he slowed down the pace a lot. But I actually think that 3rd round was super open. And I actually think Chandler, rather than looking for the knockout, I actually think it was only a few combinations, maybe a takedown from really, really actually switching that last round round out of the 3 rounds, I think that was actually the closest to score, not the first or the second.
Agree. I think it was close, but Gaethje for me looked like 2018 Justin Gaethje may have lost that fight, but Trevor Whitman.
And I think he got hurt more than we've seen him for years. He's been a little bit more reserved since he's certainly Trevor Whitman's brought a bit more of a sensible side to him. But today we saw him go.
If Trevor had any hair, he would have been pulling it out. Yeah, I think Trevor was. You could see him between rounds. He was like, "What are you doing? I know we're having fun. We like to have fun, but stay composed here." And
I'd love to know what goes through Trevor Whitman's brain watching Justin Gaethje, because Justin Gaethje, when he keeps his emotions out of touch, he's so good. And today there's a little bit of emotions, a little bit of the old wild Gaethje, which Whitman obviously doesn't want to see. But then the rest of the world love that side of Gaethje as well. I mean, I love both sides actually. I certainly respect the disciplined, the Gaethje that walked through Tony Ferguson.
Yep. Aishin asking, was it 50K? I think we said it was. I'm just double checking I've got them all here.
Marlon Vera and Pereira were the other two performance of the night.
Fight of the night, Gaethje Chandler. Performance of the night, Chris Barnett, Marlon Vera, Alex Pereira and Bobby Green. There we go. Gates was nearly $10 million US. Sold out 20,715. 4th highest gate at Madison Garden, 8th highest gate in UFC history. That's all. I was just doing the stuff Dana says at the beginning of the press conference. Okay. When can we talk about Weili again? She's awesome, says Jimmy. Well, if you have anything specific, you ask it, and we could try and talk about it.
Talk about Weili again
before the end.
We've got a new Ongla. He's fighting in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, Justin's limp was bad. I think Drake said he's on crutches, so I don't think we're going to see Gaethje v Poirier or Oliveira anytime soon. Probably next summer. But do you think anyone else could ruin that? Get in there? Maybe if Makhachev does something special, or
no?
I don't know. I want to see Gaethje v Oliveira or Poirier.
Gaethje, he's 99% got that next title shot.
I mean, the only chance you really have is, does Beneil Dariush have a fight lined up?
No, but Dana kind of hinted that he's going to be back up next month.
Yeah, I mean, Makhachev, though, could always go for Beneil, because Beneil's ranked 3.
I think that's the fight to make.
And that would be the one, because I think they're going to do the same thing at welterweight. I think they're going to do Luque, who just, failed to make weight, but tried to make weight for this fight. I think they'll try and do Luque versus Chimaev. I think they'll try and do that early Q1.
Well, I think Dana thinks that Hamzat's going to fight one more time this year, possibly December, one of the December cards.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, I agree though. I think that Islam should fight Beneil.
Yeah.
And then I think the winner of that will probably deserve to fight the winner of Gaethje versus the winner of Charlie Olives and Poirier.
Where do you see Chandler going from here, guys?
Good question. Possibly McGregor when he comes back.
I think RDA would be quite a nice fight. Yeah. RDA would be quite fun. I mean, if you want to go a little bit down, you could do a Gregor Gillespie.
Do you think he might, in a kind of way that Ben Askren quit and retired, could Chandler, if he gets the sense, I'm not going to get another title shot, I'm going to have to win a couple more at least?
I don't think so. I think he's going to continue because he has he's gone 1 and 2. He's got a good win over Hooker, who's ranked 6. He's gone very, very close in both fights. I mean, he was close with Olives because he won the first round at 10-8 and then lost in the second round here. He was very, very competitive all the way. He's definitely earned himself a place in the top 10. The thing is, Ben Askren put himself so far away by just losing quite heavily, particularly against Damian Maia, who was, I think, ranked about 7-4-8 at the time. And then the thing is, if you're Michael Chandler, all you have to do is say there was this fighter once who came from World Series of Fighting. He went 1-2 in his first 3 fights, and his name's Justin Gaethje. I mean, that's all you need to know, right? And I know he is a little bit old for the weight class. Is he 33, 34, Chandler? But I still see him having 1 or 2 years in him. I think take some time off.
If he loses another one, I think he may retire.
Well, Chris, not only did the 2 losses were they close, he came very close to winning both them fights. He almost finished Charlie Olis in that first round. And there were moments against Gaethje today where he looked like he was about to win the fight as well. So not only were they close results, he was close to getting finishes. He could easily be 3-0.
Man, he could be the world champion right now.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to quit anytime soon.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of favourable matchups, particularly I think Tony Ferguson, I think Conor McGregor would be very favourable matchups. I think RDA ranked at 6 is a really good matchup. I think if he wants to go easy, he can probably go up to Gregor Gillespie at 10. And he's getting paid pretty well, Chandler. And the thing is, he has got that Dana White privilege. He's in Dana's good books, right? So no point leaving the UFC if you're in Dana's good books. Only leave if you're in his bad books. And it can change very fast, but stay while you're in his good books.
Let's answer this. What do you guys think of WMMA Addict and Coach Shelton Harrison saying this is the worst Weili's ever looked? I haven't seen that, but I disagree. I think it was the most well-rounded Weili's ever looked, and we saw more. We haven't always been able to see like if she's got the other aspects. Like Leon said, 42 seconds was it against Andrade? I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
I thought she looked pretty good. I thought she looked really well. You know, my only issue is actually I have a little bit of an issue with the coaching. I actually scored the fight to Zhang. I don't really have a problem with it going either way. I had it a close 3-2 either way. I had Zhang winning most of her rounds. I had her winning the first 2, actually. And I kind of, just for me, it's like going 2-0 up in a game of football and losing 3-2. I kind of think that that's primarily a bit down to bad coaching, bad corner work. And Rose did fantastic herself, but I think at times there was times when Zhang could have fought more intelligent, and I did think she was sometimes overreaching and going a little bit too much with looking for big hooks and big shots, trying to close the distance was something I had a huge problem with in that fight. But I can't say she looked terrible. I think it was a really great performance, but she's one of those fighters, she always looks great every time she fights to me.
You've got to take into consideration her opponent as well. Rose Namajunas is arguably now the greatest strawweight ever. So to go neck and neck with someone who, if not the greatest strawweight ever, potentially could be after 1 or 2 more fights, how can you say it's a bad performance? Yeah, there are things she could have done better. I agree with that, but yeah, it wasn't a 42-second blitzing of Jessica Andrade. But how often can anyone do that in their career? I mean, that was a special performance, but you can't do that every performance, and particularly when your opponent is Rose Namajunas.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we got a lot of people in here, so please.
One other little thing about the Usman Colby fight. I said a similar thing about Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. I think Colby Covington, pound for pound, is the better fighter, just for the fact that there's not a lot in it between the two, and he weighs a lot less. He doesn't cut hardly any weight. He weighs probably less than Dustin Poirier, and Kamaru Usman cuts down a lot of weight. So they're in the same weight category. I'm just saying, although obviously Usman is slightly the better fighter, I think pound for pound, even though there's not a lot of difference in it, I'm going to give the credit to Colby.
There we go. A lot of people.
Okay, I disagree with that, but yeah.
Yeah. We can get into some stuff later.
I reckon he weighed at least 10 pounds less than Usman today, going into the octagon, at least. So that's a weight class down, and it was very competitive. There was nothing really in it.
How many more wins do you think Usman gets at welterweight before people start saying he should go up to middleweight?
Well, people talk about now, but like he said, unless there's $1 million, $100 million on the table, he doesn't want to fight a fellow Nigerian. I guess if Izzy wasn't the champion, then I think there's a good chance we would. I think he's smart.
he has a very good
he wants to do as
chance.
much of his legacy with as little risk as possible, which is why I think he's talking about fighting Canelo. He's already talking about retiring. I think he wants to get out while his legacy is kind of untouched. And if he hangs around long enough, particularly with Hamzat, who potentially is a threat, will we see him hang around for big threats that threaten his legacy?
I think he has the right game to fight Adesanya. I think he's really, really well matched for Adesanya. And I think, look, generally Adesanya is a striker. Whenever you have a striker hold the title for a very long time, that means when they lose the title after that is generally held by wrestlers for a while. And it just tends to go on these flip-flops in the divisions. And I just think this might be his best opportunity. And I'm telling you now, it's 2021 now. I doubt we'll see Usman in 2023. We won't see him in 2024. He'll be out of the game by then. I think he has about 2 years left at max.
I do also think as well, GSP's is a little bit disrespected every time Usman's talked about being the greatest welterweight ever.
He's nowhere
he's
close.
on an amazing run. Yeah, he's beaten some tough opposition. But GSP's opponents, I think, were another stretch up. The title defenses, there's a big difference between how many title defenses they've both had. I still think GSP is a clear welterweight GOAT right now. And then he won the middleweight title as well.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, GSP has fought many, many great fighters.
And
particularly,
generations.
Yeah, but also particularly Michael Bisping, but also Josh Koscheck and John Fitch, probably two of the best fighters to ever be a champion. To beat both of them and be so dominant over them, you have to give something to GSP. But then the only thing you can always say is GSP had 5 years when everyone knew the two best fighters in the world were GSP and Anderson Silva, and they never fought each other at the peak, which is one of the biggest regrets in the sport. And I think that's the one thing. Yeah, I think it's down to GSP. But I also say, if Usman goes up and wins the middleweight title in his prime against an Adesanya, I no disrespect to Bisping, but I think that would be something where Usman can really differentiate himself from GSP. Getting another fighter in his prime rather than a guy in his twilight.
I agree.
All right. Jimmy asking when will Alvin get his positivity button? Well, sorry guys, I'm at home today. The soundboard is in the studio at the office, so I can't give Alvin his positivity button. But yes, Alvin is always the most positive man in the chat. He says, I have to reiterate, Miss Weili looked incredible. What courage, passion, and skill. She's gained a fan forever. Yes.
We love Alvin.
We love Alvin. Here's a question we can do quickly. Who do you think would win, Usman or Poirier? From Jay.
Oh, Usman.
Usman, probably. But Poirier is fantastic to me. Poirier is the best lightweight in the world. Has been for a while. Just hasn't really matched up with the belt, but he took the money fights. Nothing wrong with that.
I think he's going to lose to old Charlie boy.
I don't think so. I really rate Poirier.
I rate him as well. I just rate Charlie Olives even more. I just think his game has come on so much in the last couple of years.
Okay. Let's try and get back to the card then. Just do remember, if you haven't already, please give us a subscribe on the channel and give this video a like. That'd be very nice of you. We appreciate it. But let's go. We skipped over Shane and Billy Q. Shane Burgess got a decision. Another great fight, guys. I got it wrong. I went for Billy Q. So did Chris. Drake and JHK went for Shane.
I got it right.
Yeah, just tough for them to have to follow that Gaethje Chandler war, wasn't it? The crowd was a little deflated. I think it's just, you get that a lot at some big pro wrestling events where someone will steal the show with a barn burner or a fight. The crowd's a little deflated. They go get a beer, whatever. Yeah, tough act to follow, but they did as much as they could, didn't they?
It was a great fight. Amazing fight, really. It was just unfortunate. It did happen after Gaethje Chandler because the crowd were, just getting their breath back. But, yeah, yeah, that was easily one of the best fights of the night.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think? I'm going to come to you before we move down to the prelims, but I don't think you can argue with the decision. It was tight, but
yeah, very tight, very good. Billy Q, man, what an absolute warrior! This fight, you can argue that there's 4 fights on the main card where there wasn't really any loser, because they all put so much heart into it. Like everyone who lost kind of won in a way. Billy Q had probably maybe his best performance despite losing. He showed he was a true warrior to continue on that leg. We had Chandler pretty much the same. Same with Zhang Weili and same with Colby. They all kind of lost but kind of won. I'd like to see a few more draws so we could have had a few more rematches.
yes, sir.
I agree. I mean, we saw a lot of. Seemed like more devastating leg kicks than normal on this card. And we've been seeing the rise of the calf kick over the last year or so. It just seemed like there was even more than normal tonight. And also Chandler as well. He was landing as many as Gaethje was early on, but then seemed to stop throwing them as much.
Okay. All the judges had it 29-28 for Shane, and they all got it same identical scorecards across the board. So always good when they agree. It was 10-9. They all had Billy first round, and then Shane 2 and 3. So no controversy there. Let me look at some comments quickly, and then we'll go to the prelims. Poirier or Gaethje, who wins? They fought 4 and Dustin won. So do you think Gaethje can beat Poirier in a rematch?
Yes.
The way he fights now, he wouldn't be as reckless as he was in that one, for sure.
No.
I want to see that
more
sometime.
Today, but I think that's partly because of fighting China and fighting someone so similar to him. I think he'd be more disciplined again against Poirier.
Yes, agree. I mean, I'm looking forward to whoever wins the Poirier-Oliveira, Gaethje versus either of them. I'm looking forward to that. And he said, if it's Oliveira, I want to go to Brazil. If it's Poirier, I'll go down to Louisiana. I don't give a fuck. So he's game for it. Is Weili officially in the Holly Holm situation? Yeah, I think you could say that. It's a shame. It's purgatory, isn't it, guys? Poirier is the one to stop Usman in the end, says high five. Interesting. Plenty of comments here. I'll try and get to the
might see Poirier versus Colby at some point.
Yeah, I would like to see
that again. The press conference, he said, Poirier weighs more than me, and Poirier's talked about coming up to welterweight. They've got a huge amount of bad blood. He said he wants to fight Masvidal and he wants to fight Poirier. He wants to fight these guys that have been calling him out.
I think that's because they're giving the most money, those fights. Colby's not going to get a title shot for a while, so he knows he's got a couple of he's got a couple of big money fights in there, Colby.
Yep.
Bad blood. All right. Who should Alex Pereira fight next? Because this is the one we can talk about a little now. Alex Pereira featured prelim. Did what he does. Highlight reel KO 18 seconds into the second round against Andreas Michailidis, who, really fought his fight in the first round. He, he kept Pereira against the fence for most of it. Didn't let Pereira hit him, but then he was so tired, wasn't he, after the first round? He was on the stool. He looked exhausted. Pereira saw the opening, flying knee. That was all she wrote. Huge debut, guys. Huge victory. It sort of puts the whole middleweight division on notice. And, if he keeps doing that, how long before he gets to Izzy?
Oh, yeah. Huge hype on him. I mean, 4-0, 4 fights, to be going into the UFC, to be headlining the prelims on a numbered card is absolutely huge. You saw Glory tweeting out all of his similar knockouts that he's done with the knee before, which is fantastic. I saw some stuff I like. There's obviously some stuff he has to work on, but I'll tell you what, if there was one person I'd want to interview about that fight, it'd probably be Israel Adesanya, because it must be interesting to know his reaction right now, because you do kind of get the feeling like he might have huge holes in his game. He might not have great takedown defense, but you just have a feeling that if he fights Israel Adesanya, when you've got someone's number, you've got their number.
Yeah. I thought Joe Rogan's commentary was quite funny on this one, particularly the knockout. He was going, "Oh, it's heavier than most people." It was a flying knee. I think a flying knee by most fighters will knock out their opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Joe did a good job, I think, of getting across just how scary Alex Pereira is to maybe the viewers who've never seen him in glory. I think that was Joe's purpose. He was really hyping him before and after and saying, this guy hits ridiculously hard. He's made of wood. I think he said. A big superstar, I think, now again, just in that division. I don't think it's going to be long before he's up fighting in the top 5. Did you say who you think he should go for next, Chris? Sorry. What do we think?
Alex Pereira. That is absolutely tough. If I was going to go for someone, you'd probably be looking for someone maybe just outside of the top 15. Sorry, I don't think he's good enough to give someone in the top 15. The only other thing I would be saying is you could possibly do Edmund Shabazian, someone who is going to stand there and strike with you. You could do Kevin Holland, because unless Kevin Holland just decides to go for takedowns and double legs, they're both going to be stand-up fights. And you can see him doing really, really well against both of them. And there's a lot of great stand-up fighters. I think he has a great... I think Uriah Hall, though, I just don't think you can put him in because Uriah Hall's ranked 8th, right? And I just don't think
just
for me...
outside the top 10, I think.
Is he Uriah Hall 10th? I don't know if you haven't got a number, if you deserve to straight away get 10th. To me, Shabazian at 12, he's going to drop down, so he might be 15, or Holland at 14. It's probably a little bit of a better introduction, but I can go both ways.
I think it'll be a tough matchup for Shabazian because he's lost 3 in a row after being undefeated, but to 3 killers. If you give him another potential killer, and because he's only 23 years old, you're potentially just writing off and almost ruining his career. Give him a fight that's a bit more, I don't want to say winnable, because there's no easy fights in the UFC, but give him someone who's not a killer.
Mm-hmm. The problem is with someone like Shabazian, his takedown defense just doesn't seem to be... We'll get on to Shabazian in a minute, actually, when we get to his fight. But there is a few guys in this middleweight division who are, think is you could have a fantastic kickboxing Grand Prix out of some of these middleweights with Shabazian, with Kevin Holland, with Darren Till, with Adesanya, now with Pereira. There's some absolutely fantastic strikers, and it's just trying to navigate the strikers and the wrestlers in this division, and that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, Darren Till matchup down the road would be fun.
I've got to say thank you to Tan for this super chat, and this was funny. Chris Barnett versus John Villante. It's Stipe versus DC when you order on Wish. That was a good fight as well.
Yeah, man, I like finish. It. They haven't got that action man body that most MMA fighters in the UFC have nowadays. They look more similar to, say, sumo wrestlers, one could say. But absolutely so pleased for Barnett. Watched some of his fights before in Rhodes, CES, Fight Nights Global. He's just been around the world. Is it rude to call it? He is a kind of journeyman, but a journeyman that in almost every organization he's fought and he has a winning record. The win against Gian Villante, though, my issue with it is Gian Villante has not cared about this sport for the last 2 years. Let's all just be honest. He has not cared. I mean, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, he was still fighting at middleweight. He moved up to light heavyweight, had a second fight at light heavyweight where he didn't make weight. Yeah, man, I'm just happy he's closing out and moving on with his life. And I think there's a lot of other fighters who should look at what Gian Villante done. Kind of gave up for his last 3 fights. He knew what he was doing. He just wanted the paychecks. And he went out on top at Madison Square Garden in front of his friends and his family, being from the area.
Okay.
Chris Barnett, he's got some moves as well, isn't he? It's not just his spin back kick. He's got some dance moves as well.
Back kick was awesome. The flip was good. The dancing was good. And it's just nice to see someone. It's one of those moments when, I think he knows he's not going to get to the top, but he's just happy to be able to be in the UFC and to compete. And that's what you love, right? And that's what makes the sport what it is. You need these people who are just happy to be there and willing to compete.
All right. So much going. A lot of comments here as well. I'm going to try and get to them. I'm sorry if we don't. Makoto here asking a question. Good morning, fellas. What's your opinion on the narrative? Weili's a sore loser and an evil person because of where she come from. I speak Mandarin, and for me it hurts since I know her personality from other interviews. I think that was some of the narrative from the first fight. I don't think anyone's saying that this time. No, I think she didn't get booed too much. I want to say, and I think during fight week at the press conference, she was cheered. I heard a little bit, but you're gonna expect that when an American's fighting.
Obviously.
Yeah, nothing like it was in Florida. So I think Weili comes out of this with more fans. I think their reputation enhanced.
She did say that she very much does like New York. It's been her favorite place to fight abroad. It's very cosmopolitan. I knew when she was approaching the fight week, she went up to Flushing Meadows, which is traditionally the Chinatown there, more like a China city, to tell you the truth. It's absolutely huge. Yeah, that's it. It's actually not far around there, man. I mean, all the karaoke you want, all the hot pot you want, noodles, rice, some stuff you won't like, but ducks and pigs hanging from the shop fronts, as you'll see in China and Chinatowns all around the world. So it was nice to see her over there and connecting with those fans, because obviously the way China is at the moment, they're the most likely Chinese fans that are probably going to be able to visit and cheer her on. Yeah, from everything I saw, I haven't seen anything that's really called her a sore loser or an evil person. I know she was being a bit of a sore loser after that first fight, but that's because she got knocked out. Everyone's allowed to be a sore loser, you know. You could argue, is Daniel Cormier a crybaby because he was crying after he lost once? No, he's not a crybaby, but he just cried once because he got knocked out.
I thought Weili was a breath of fresh air all week, really. The lead up, she was congratulated. She was all smiles even today after the loss. I think she came across very well this week.
Agreed.
Another question, a quick question for Nick. What was it like having two women in that fight that have less hair on their head as you, Nick?
I don't think that's the first time. Yeah. It's probably happened before. I mean, when Rose fought Andrade, they're both bald, aren't they? Or no, Andrade just got short hair. But
yeah, Andrade's kind of got a lot of hair though, because she's kind of got like a good cut going on, hasn't she? She's kind of got like a good Buffon, like an Elvis cut going on.
Well, my hair is definitely thinner than hers.
Yeah, that's true. You won't look as good gelled up.
No,
she looks like she's got like a little bit of a Kaniki haircut. Andrade from Greece.
What is that?
Kaniki from Greece now.
Greece Lightning.
Yeah.
Oh, the film. Oh, yeah. I have no idea that reference. I haven't seen that for like 15, 20 years. All right. There's so many comments and questions. I'll try and get to them. We'll just try and cover the rest of this card at the good moments first. So, what do you think, guys? We don't need to say too much, I guess, about Al Iaquinta and Bobby Green. First round TKO for Bobby. Does Al? I guess the talking point is Al. Where does he go? Like Frankie Edgar, does he hang it up now? Raging Al?
No, I think Al has so much more to give. He's been out for 2 years. I think he's come in very similar against a very similar ranked opponent. Bobby Green is always dangerous. He's always had a lot of hype around him, just can't get the wins together. I think Al Iaquinta has a lot of opportunity. I think it's just all about picking the right guy. Is this his third loss in a row? Yeah, he had Cerrone and I can't remember before that, but I think this is his third loss in a row. I'd quite like to see him fight someone unranked, and if not, I mean, he can always beat Kevin Lee again.
Bobby Green was going in a two fight lose streak as well. So
yeah,
because I think I mentioned before, I think he won 3 fights in 3 months in the UFC Apex, then lost 2, and now he's got back to winning ways.
Yeah. He lost to Hooker, Cerrone, and Green now. Iaquinta. So the first two, particularly back then, Cerrone and Hooker now are still very, very highly ranked guys. But I think there's still a lot of opportunities out there for Raging Iaquinta.
Yeah, so he's hardly fought, and he fought someone who's been so active during the pandemic. Bobby Green's just been fighting so regularly. Was Raging Al barely fought. I mean, he fought, like I said, 2 years ago. Was his fight before that? He had a big layoff, or was it he had another big layoff before that, about a year or two, where he fell out of the UFC? That's what I think. That's when he first went to selling houses.
Yep.
Yes. All right. We all got it wrong. JHK picked Bobby. Myself, Drake, Chris picked Al. So we all got this one wrong as well too. Phil Hawes this was a shock for me. Megatron got caught by the action man, Chris Curtis, who was plus 245 underdog. Right at the end of the first round as well, after Phil had looked really good that whole first round until that final minute. Ruined my 6-fight win streak on Fanatics, which I had started off with for once. I was off to a good start. I thought I was going to roll right through there, Chris, but were you surprised?
Yeah, I was surprised, but you know what? This is just a learning curve a little bit for Phil Hawes. I think because I thought he was winning the fight. I thought he got a little bit cocky. I think he got a little bit arrogant. And
Chris put that on the screen, by the way. I'm not calling myself handsome.
Hey, Nick, you are handsome. You are handsome. I always said if I batted for the other team, I'll be all over you, mate. I like him hairy. You've seen my girlfriend. She's not going to like that one.
No.
Yeah, I thought Phil Hawes was doing very well. I just think he got actually really cocky, a little bit overconfident, and he allowed himself to go in and get caught. What a great debut for Chris
up until that point.
Yeah, but you do look at Chris Curtis and you look at his record, but you do look and you think he's had over 30 fights. He's at Extreme Couture. He's trained with some of the best people. Definitely for me, he wins the celebration of the night.
Okay. There's a lot of fun going on in the chat today. Glad to see everyone's enjoying themselves. And that's how it should be. But we'll try and get through the rest of this card. There's so many things to talk about. So quickly, Nasruddin Imavov with the second round Crucifix TKO finish against Edmund Sharbazi and the Golden Boy. We'll get to him in a minute, but Imavov looks like the real deal, the Russian sniper out of is it MMA Factory with Cyril Gunn? Yeah, very impressive. I think they said it's something like the 8th time that someone's got a TKO from a Crucifix in the whole history of UFC. Very impressive finish.
Oh yeah, 100%. A great finish, but but look, anyone who has a wrestling background right now, getting Edmund Sharbazi, and it's a little bit like getting a penalty to start off a football game. There's no other way. Look, all 4 of us guessed correctly on this. The bookies got it right. Everyone I talked to was like, everyone knows you're fighting Edmund Sharbazi and you've just got to take him down. It's that kind of thing. If he was to fight a Derek Brunson, he was to fight a Darren Till, you might find out all of a sudden those guys have a ground game. I just don't know what you do with Edmund Sharbazi, and I don't want to be one of those guys who gets them into variance back because he's a great coach, great kickboxing coach. I feel like he needs to go elsewhere and add another layer to his game.
Well, he did spend some time at AKA ahead of this fight, working on his wrestling. But strange, we've seen a lot of crucifixes in one championship, haven't we? Particularly the women. There seems to be like Ritu Foggett seems to get her opponent in a crucifix almost every fight.
There we go.
Do we see him a lot more often in one championship, or am I just imagining it?
Off the top of my head, I think, was it Jenilyn beat Mayra Mazar with one, or am I wrong there?
Yeah, for that, it seems to be a lot. Well, I seem to remember a lot in the women's fights in one championship, but that might just be where, obviously there's been a few recently with Ritu and Jenilyn also.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I don't know what correlation there is, but it's a rare one in the UFC. Synchro Wing, what's your guys' take on the crowd still booing Weili, even after she said she loves the environment at MSG? I didn't hear that many boos. I couldn't hear as well as possible, though I was in a loud bar. So you guys have to
I heard some people do his booing, but I watch all the fights without the. I don't listen to the commentary. I don't like it.
Well, I heard a lot of "Let's Go Brandon" chants throughout the fight.
Yeah. Someone's got to explain that to me. I know it's some kind
You
of
don't know
joke.
it.
Well, I know it happens every time Biden.
They don't know the
Biden.
story of it.
Yeah. So I was wondering what it was.
I can tell you now if you want.
If it's not lewd and crude, or
I can do it now. I can do the under 18 version.
Yeah, sure.
So basically, one of the mainstream media, main ones in America, was interviewing a winner of a NASCAR race, and in the background, the whole crowd was chanting "F Joe Biden, F Joe Biden," and the interviewer went, "Oh look, listen, they're chanting, let's go Brandon," to try and deflect what they're actually saying. So now it's just a massive thing. Everyone just it's like a code. If you say "Let's go Brandon," you're basically saying "F Joe Biden."
I like that
without swearing.
That's cool. All right, let's try and finish these fights, then we can maybe do a few questions. Ian Garry, the future, very impressive. Got the finish just 1 second before the end of the first round against Jordan Williams. We all predicted it, guys. This guy looks like the real deal.
Well, he didn't look that convincing, really, and the finish was beautiful.
It was.
Until then,
nervous, maybe.
I'd say he was losing that first round.
He may have been. I mean, very good finish, though. That's high-level technique, isn't it, Chris? Conor liked it. Dana liked it. We've got a new Conor McGregor on our hands. I don't know. The Irish, as Dana said, the Irish always get behind their guys and girls. So, not saying he's going to be the same personality, but could we see a similar rise through the ranks in the UFC?
Yeah, I think it's very, very hard. I mean, no disrespect to Jordan Williams. He went 1-1-1 in Dana White's Contender Series. He's gone 3-1, I think, since he joined the UFC. Has fought some good guys, including the Russian sniper and Mickey Gore, who I don't really rate really highly.
We know you hate Mickey Gore.
No, I think he's a great jiu-jitsu fighter, but I just don't think he's fully formed at all. Actually, as a mixed martial artist.
Mickey ever do to Chris?
I think he has a stupid walkout song. That's the first of all.
That's a classic.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I kind of cooled a little bit on Ian Garry after this. I think it was a good performance. I think he should be happy. It obviously wasn't good enough to get a bonus. He took a lot of damage, and that's something that worries me. I think he was very, very bad to show a little bit more head movement. His foot movement was very inconsistent. And he really did leave himself open both at range and a little bit when they came closer together. I think he's a top prospect, but he is a long, long way to go. Has a long way to go. And if I was going to show someone else from the British and Irish Isles, I don't think he made his biggest splash on the microphone or his biggest splash in the cage as someone who got a huge pop in Madison Square Gardens in Paddy the Baddy himself.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah, I think his confidence matches McGregor's and Paddy the Baddies.
Yeah.
Paddy,
but I don't know if he made the same kind of statement as either of those did on their debuts.
I agree. Yeah.
All right, we're very close to. We did John Villante and Chris Barnett. So just a couple other fights. If you guys, do you want to pick out anything from these first three fights on the card, or what?
Seems like days ago.
I was asleep.
So long ago, the first three fights of the day.
I watched
these. It was almost 12 hours ago.
Watched every single fight. The first three fights, to tell you the truth, with them all going to decision. I was awake, I think, about 6:05 Hong Kong time, watching the first three fights. And I was like, 3 decisions. I hope this isn't the way the rest of the night is going. But fortunately, it wasn't the way it was going to be, so hopefully luck turned its way around. But yeah, what an absolutely fantastic card. Fantastic way to spend my Sunday. Absolutely loved it. And you know what's nice after that really is we didn't get another decision until we got to the Gaethje Chandler fight, which shows it all. And there's not often there's not often you have me coming on and messaging you guys, being like, "Is this one of the best main cards of the year?" When the main card had 4 decisions on it, shows how good it was.
Yeah. Just to recap for anyone listening or not looking at the screen, Justin Jacoby with the decision over John Allen. Melsik Bagdasarian with the decision over Bruno Souza, who missed weight. And Odie Osborne with the decision over CJ Vergara. That is the whole card. So now, we can get some questions if people want to ask us. Sorry we missed them earlier. Just recycle them. If you had anything we didn't answer, we could maybe hang out for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I have one question I want to ask, which I find dead odd, and it's just a big question of Weili asking why the hardcore MMA fans. Like, I just think there's a lot of hardcore MMA fighters who like the Asian field, that like the history, particularly the people who remember Pride when there was a lot more of a Asian feel, much more of a martial arts feel to it. I think people like that, and also I just think most of it with Zhang Weili, it's just her character. I think her character's awesome. I think she's very relatable. She, what? I think everyone remembers back in school there was a girl like Zhang Weili. In the same way, everyone remembers there was a girl like Rose as well. And I just find that both of them are just so relatable. And probably, in my opinion, to me, I found those two more relatable than a Shevchenko or a Nunes, because Nunes is just so uber confident and so different to anyone else I've ever met. And then you've got Shevchenko, who's kind of like this mysterious spy, and I've never met anyone like that either.
I don't know how anyone cannot like either Rose or Weili.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Rose is
she's
very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. How does Andrade versus Weili 2 looks like? Asks James. I don't know. Yeah.
I think it's similar to tonight in the way that Rose and Zhang Weili went the first time. I think if they were to fight, particularly over 5 rounds, I think we'll see it go for over 5 rounds at least. I think it'll be a totally different fight.
Agreed.
I think it's difficult to walk through someone like that twice, as we've seen with Rose versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Zhang Weili the first time. Second time's a lot more competitive. And it's a tough situation. When you beat someone that easily, it's difficult to get yourself up for the next one, because you almost impossible to do better. Even if you win, it's likely to be not as convincing. And the person who lost is going to be extra motivated. They're going to learn from the lessons. Yeah, so the second fights tend to be more competitive. Jessica Andrade is another one. I don't know how anyone cannot like her. She's a fighter who seems to be so happy for her opponent when she loses. When she lost to Zhang Weili, she was so happy for her. She's another just beautiful soul.
Do you think she stays? My thing with Andrade is I'd love to see her fight though again, but I think she stays at flyweight.
Yeah, I think it was a tough weight cut for
and she's done pretty good at flyweight apart from the Shevchenko fight. I mean, Chikugian and Caitlin Young, was it? Who else did she fight? Cynthia Calvillo. Both of them, she sent them both to hell in the first round. So seems like everyone up there at flyweight she could knock out, just not Shevchenko.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if she goes
and
down,
even then, she may learn from lessons from the first match, because I think she was surprised by Valentina's tactics. So I think she'd be a bit more prepared for anything in a rematch.
Yeah, but if she goes back down, I think she needs to win one before she challenges. I know she said, "Give me the title shot of the winner," but I don't think so.
No.
Is Weili the clear number 2 in the world behind Rose? Says Synchro Wing.
No.
I don't know. I think you'd put her clear number 2, Joanna clear number 3.
Oh. What about Carla and Marina?
And I'll put Carla and Marina 4 and 5.
See, I'd probably put Carla and Marina 3 and 4. I'd put Joanna 5. Just recency bias. Joanna's in her last 5, she's lost 3. I know she's lost them to very, very good fighters, I know, but I'm just saying, and particularly if you look at the last 2 years, we haven't really had any performance out of her.
Yeah, I agree. She hasn't competed much, but her second performances against Rose and Weili were both so competitive.
I think Zhang Weili for me would be number 2 in the world, but I just don't agree with the word clear. I don't think it's clear until everyone's fought everyone. I can't say it's clear. I think you can put Carla there, you can put Marina there, you can put Joanna there. I think everyone is really, really close together. I hope when we look back on it, Rose fought Joanna twice. She's fought Zhang Weili twice now. I'd like to see Zhang Weili and Joanna go at it again. I'd like to see her fight more people in the division, because you do remember, was it 5 fights she had and then a title shot, Zhang? So she didn't always work her way through the rest of the weight class, and it would just be nice to see her test herself against the very
I think it's still a little bit of unknown about Marina and also Carla to a certain extent, even though she's a former champion, because in the last, she hasn't really fought the top 3 girls in the recent years, whereas Joanna, Zhang Weili and Rose, they've all fought each other and been very competitive with each other. So we know all about them. Marina, we think she's up there with them. She's looked amazing. And we know Carla deserves a title shot, but I personally can't see Carla beating Rose, Joanna or Weili.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
I'll just get to a few more questions. Mixed Martial Farts says, great card. I'm still up. What's your overall 2 favorite performances of the night for me? Gaethje and Usman and Colby even.
Performances.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
Yep, probably for me.
So many.
Yeah, it's tough. Probably for me, Kamaru and Gaethje.
Yeah.
I can't do Rose because I had Zhang winning. So it has to be those. Alex Pereira will probably be the notable other choice, and probably Imavov.
Yeah.
Just
I
on the
think
outside.
Imavov and Pereira for me personally, because the others were very, very good fights, but not necessarily, but very close.
Yeah, I agree with Leon.
I'd probably put Gaethje there because I think he just showed so much grit and determination and take so many bloody bombs to the face and the chin and the body. One hell of a performance. Yeah, that was a superhuman performance. That's, to me, the definition of superhuman.
All right, we'll get back to Weili in a minute. I know some people want to ask, just what do you think about Colby breaking kayfabe, then during his interview trashed Usman again? It was really off-putting to me. I like when he was sincere, then he just ruined it. I think we touched on it slightly earlier, but yeah, just it's Colby being Colby. Leo and I will talk about it, but maybe Chris, you could give your thoughts. That's what he does, isn't it? And
yeah, I think it's good. You know what? Give it time. It will all change. It will all come out with time. We've had people telling us the whole time anyway, whether you like them or not, that this isn't Colby. This is all an act. This is just to get over, to get fans to keep himself in the UFC. I liked the moment they had in the cage. It was very good that the ref was so close. Otherwise, we actually wouldn't have had any of it. So it would have been very much left to our own imaginations. But we're very lucky we got that. Yeah, man, you never know. There's probably a hotel room somewhere. Covington and Usman might be having a burger or a beer or who bloody knows what, right? You'd be surprised.
Chandler or Gaethje, one of them's posted a picture of them two together in hospital.
Oh. Yeah. See, wow. That's it. That's the beauty of the fight game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it? Justin Gaethje, I think, on Instagram.
Yeah, a lot of respect between those two. Not a lot of coverage, says James, of Weili throughout fight week on Embedded. Very disappointing. Yeah, she disappeared for a couple episodes. I didn't watch them all, but I think she was only in the first one. And then I don't know what that's down to, whether she said, I don't want to be in them all. I want to focus on the fight. She may have said that. I don't want to cast aspersions saying she was ignored by the UFC or they wanted to push Rose more. I don't have a...
I didn't even really know. I mean, I watched all of them. I didn't really notice or think anything of it because it's just a quick 9 minutes of just fun interaction, isn't it, with fighters going through their fight week. I don't read too much into stuff like that.
Yeah, I know that they do put out special stuff packages for some of the UFC events for Chinese fighters on. I can't remember what app it is, but it's owned by China Mobile. I can't remember what the app is called.
Oh, Migu.
Migu, that's the one.
Yeah.
They do put out their own content.
Yeah. I think Weili was very well promoted in China. I saw she was at the New York Knicks, gave her a personalized shirt and everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was Nick. I was speaking to our good friend Heinrich, and he was saying there was
Mr. Heinrich.
a stream out there in China that had 50 million views or something. Yeah, something like that.
Someone said that here in the chat. I don't know if that's Heinrich hiding in the chat, but 62 million online views on a bootleg link
in China.
Yeah, that'd be within the Chinese intranet.
That'd be pretty impressive if it was in the UK.
Yeah, well, that'd be pretty much everyone.
Person. Yeah. Why not? All right.
I don't know if it was all in China, probably in Chinese, but probably you found a lot of it in China, but also you forget Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, London, Manchester. They all have these huge overseas Chinese communities, New York, San Francisco, LA. People do forget that there's 150 million Chinese people who live outside of China, so it is sometimes really, really hard. Yeah, man, I think it was only recently, but recently they overtook, I think, Jews as the most outside their own country people. Okay. But that's a slightly different thing.
James pointing out BT and ESPN did an interview. I mean, I imagine, James, she had a bunch of interviews with Chinese media. I know for a fact, actually, my freelancer, Matt Scott, told me everyone under the sun wants her from the Chinese media, so they had to do a group call. We couldn't even get her for a one-on-one, and we're the South China Morning Post. So she was in demand with the Chinese media.
South China Morning Post.
She didn't do... I don't know if you follow like UFC Espanol, the Latin America. She didn't do a lot of interviews with them, and usually, I can't remember what the Arab girl is based out in Dubai who does UFC Arabia interviews.
Farah Hanoun, yeah?
Yeah, because
she...
She had loads of people, but I didn't see anything that she put out with UFC Arabia for Zhang Weili either. I don't know if she's just doing so much Chinese press that they can't get it. Because you do forget any of these fighters, and you forget people also like Kenny Florian's talked about it, Brian Ortega's talked about it, and those two found it particularly hard because they had double the press conferences because they'd have to do everything in English and then do everything in Spanish straight after, and they'd have a whole separate presser for the Spanish press and then the foreign press, etc., but they also have the Spanish press in America, Mexican press, Peruvian press, etc. So you don't know what it can be like with Zhang Weili.
Think that you can only make them do so many interviews, and they have a right to focus on the fight. I'm not sure if there's anything sinister behind it that she didn't do one with ESPN BT. My gut feeling is she just had so many interviews with Chinese media. So
the one thing about Weili that always interests me, did you see her interview saying that she liked making good use of the Performance Institute in Vegas? And that kind of made me feel a little bit odd because I wonder... She did used to be using the one in Shanghai quite a bit, but I haven't seen her there in a while. She was using it a lot about 2 years ago. Because I know she's based up in Beijing, right?
Yeah. I don't know if there was anything sinister in that either. I think,
talking to the PI, do you know why they're building new PIs in Mexico and Puerto Rico? And obviously Africa down the road as well. Do you know why those two countries? Is there something specific about...
Mexico City, huge country. Mexico City is the biggest city in the Americas, very well internationally connected, and they really want to tap into Mexico. And as well, it's a huge market. What you forget is most other American sports are trying to tap into Mexico, and Mexico actually, for a North American country, the big three along with Canada, it's the only one that's really into what we call football in the UK, and basketball and NFL haven't really made much of an indent. I know baseball's fairly popular there, and I think the UFC are trying to do, and it is a country with a huge boxing background, right? I mean, like traditionally, Mexico is probably top 5 boxing countries almost consistently.
Yeah, and now with a UFC champion as well.
Yeah, that's it. So that makes
What
a
about
good one.
Puerto Rico, though.
Puerto Rico has no tax. It's like Monaco. It's like Hong Kong. It's like Singapore. It has no tax. It's part of America, so you don't need a passport to even go there if you're from America.
Really?
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, and you can live there and pay no tax, but you can't vote.
Because the Death Squad went there for a little while, didn't they? Before
yeah.
No, who's the guy? Peter Schiff, who's always out there on Rush Today or NBC saying the world's going to end. Buy gold, buy gold. They all live in Puerto Rico because they think the world's going to collapse. So they're like, why should I pay the government if they're all going to collapse?
Okay. What do you think then? You want to wrap it up, lads?
I can't really think of much else to add, but my God, what a great card. I'm happy to have watched every fight on that card.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. It's a bit strange now because it's a lull in the action now for 5 weeks until we have this big card in the UFC, but 3 more cards in between. Your friend Misha Tate, Leon. We've got Yair and Holloway, and I can't remember the other event.
Is it not Rob Font versus Jose Aldo? Is that the main event?
Yeah, I think they're the 3 main events we've got coming up, so that'd be quite nice.
Yeah, and one championship is back next week with a pre-tape card. Next Gen 2. And they won't be back live until December 3rd. I think that one is now the Winter Wonderland card, Chris.
Winter Warriors.
Yeah.
Winter Warriors.
it's just Winter Wonderland. Sorry.
I think they'll do 2. I would think they were going to do 2 cards on that night, possibly 3, and then just do them through December.
Yeah. Well,
and then aim to go live again in January.
Okay.
I'd also like to say I hope everyone has a good weekend. I hope everyone enjoyed the fights.
Yeah, I don't know what else we could say. I'm kind of cautious. I've got to write a bunch of articles now.
Well, I hope
hang around.
I hope this weekend when it comes to football, Leon is just as sad tonight as Nick was last night because 12:30 tonight Hong Kong time, Leon's mighty Hammers are taking on the pride of Liverpool, the Red Men themselves, Liverpool Football Club.
Safe to tell watching that.
Number third versus number 4.
Paddy Pimblett was the pride of Liverpool.
Oh man, Liverpool, we have a lot of pride. We have the Beatles, we have gay pride, we've got everything going on. That's it. So I'll be looking forward to that.
I wasn't disappointed last night. I was indifferent. I expected it. Yeah. I didn't drink, which helped because I knew I had a long day today, so I was sober for it. And
we've been on fire this season. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, the Hammers are really doing well. David Moyes.
I know. Man United have a worse defense than Edmund Shabazian.
Oh wow!
I've been waiting to use that one all day. Finally.
Yeah, I don't dispute that. I do not dispute that. Yeah. All right. Well, let's leave it there. I'm sure we will be back, or I'll be back at least in some form on Tuesday. If I'm working, we can.
I'll be
Fight Companion Friday night.
Yeah, Fight Companion next Friday night. Chris and I usually do something on a Thursday. These are Hong Kong times.
Oh, you do a preview for the next Gen 2?
Yeah,
we'll do Thursday. We'll be doing a preview. I think we'll do a double header, right? We'll do a one championship and a UFC preview.
We'll figure it out. I might need a day off tomorrow. But yeah, thanks everyone watching, and thanks everyone subscribing. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We picked up a bunch of subscribers tonight, and just like the video as well. Helps us with the algorithm. Go download Fanatics Fantasy MMA app if you haven't. The link is there. Fanatics, getfanatics.app/SCMP. Join our group. You can compete against us. It's really fun. We have a chat group there. Always a bit of banter flying around on a fight night. Now mixed partial farts is going in on Ollie's boys. Damn it. Man United are the worst for real, just like
I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah. I cannot dispute that, mixed partial farts. I haven't seen you around these parts before, so if you're a new listener and subscriber, listener or watcher, please subscribe. Mixed Partial Thoughts. I hope
subscribe, give us a like. I hope you enjoyed all of our content we had from Madison Square Gardens. We're trying to do more. We're always trying to expand. Give us all a follow on the Twitter. And you know what? If you need anything to complement all the great articles on the South China Morning Post /MMA website, go and check out Asian Persuasion MMA.
Yes. Leon_APMMA. Follow him. Follow all of Asian Persuasion's channels on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I'm not sure about the Facebook status.
We've got a Facebook group which does contain SCMP MMA content. I started sharing into the group.
How nice of you.
Perfect.
And just keep it on SCMP MMA. We got a bunch of Drake is rattling out all the videos from the press conference now. Go there, scmp.com/MMA. I'm about to put up a bunch of reaction from those presses. If you like to read and not just listen, head over there. Paywall is down now on SCMP MMA stories. No more paywall. If you've gone to scmp.com and been frustrated at the paywall, it's no longer there as long as you're just reading MMA. So why would you read anything else there? Not to say it's not good, but we all know you're there for MMA. Okay, let's leave it there, guys. Thank you, Chris and Leon, again, and thanks to everyone watching. We'll see you again next time.
Peace.